Get the latest news, podcast, and more at sasportstar.com.
You know it's hard to see all of what goes on in the city. That's why we got Maddy Skyline. It's time for Maddy Skyline.
It is time for Maddy Skyline of the San Antonio Express News. Maddy Skye, the food and culture editor, generally all things fun and things happening around San Antonio. But I tell you what, the events of the last 24 hours, Maddy Skye, you and your team there at MySA and the San Antonio Express News have done a phenomenal job with information not only about the tragedy in Uvalde, but how people can help and those businesses that are helping. Credit you and everybody that you work with there at the Express News and mysa.com.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a rough, more 24 hours now. It's just, it was something that we saw come through, and it's just grown into this horrendous tragedy that I think that all of us are processing while we're working. And that's something that I want the public to be mindful of, that because this is so local, there are so many reporters that have local connections. People on my own team have had their cousins shot at the school and are still working through it. So just a little bit of grace would be great.
And Maddy, I want to, Priscilla Gary, her cousin, 10 years old, was shot yesterday in surgery. She tweeted not long ago that surgery is okay, shot near the heart, yet she doesn't appear to have missed a beat when it comes to work, setting emotion aside or working through obvious emotion while getting the work done that needs to be done. That's high praise for Priscilla.
Yes, she's a tough cookie, and we've all kind of just been checking in on each other. We worked really late last night, and obviously we're back at it today. And yeah, it was really stunning when we found that out, because Priscilla was one of the first reporters on the story yesterday, and then later we find that she's having this family situation as well. So it kind of just really highlights the fact that this is so close to San Antonio and so close to so many residents here.
Maddy, what I love what you guys have done, though, everybody is trying to figure out a way to help. You are giving folks that opportunity to do that and pointing out places that they can go and showcasing the businesses in San Antonio that are doing that. In fact, you talk about a number of San Antonio restaurants that are doing that. Did people just want to reach out to you? Are you reaching out to people? How are you getting this information and getting it out to the rest of the public?
Yeah, well, the first restaurant that reached out with this really, super plan was El Remedio. They're a birria place here in Antonio. They are actually on the ground there in Uvalde passing out tacos and food to anybody who might need it. And they reached out to me because it's his field. And by the way, he's very adamant that he doesn't want praise, which I think he deserves the praise, but because it's just his responsibility. But he reached out to me because he needed to find out a place where he could park that would be like the most accessible to the most people. So I asked my Twitter following, and they gave him suggestions. And then after that, so that is a whole, he's feeding people, but then there's also places like Amaretto Coffee. There's a few, a sandwich shop, a lot of business actually trying to update our list as they come in that are just publicizing on social media that, whether it be for today or for the rest of the week, their profits are going towards Uvalde and the community, whether that's for the city as a whole or to help bury these victims. Just really heartbreaking. And I think the general sense is, from everybody that I've spoken to at least, is A, they feel it's their responsibility as business owners because they see so much support from the community over the years, and B, it's like, how can we not when Uvalde is our neighbor? So it's been people, we've seen so many reports of people filling into blood donation drives en masse, and filling those shows. And I think it's also important to note that, yes, donate as much as you can right now during this tragedy, but because all of these units are being sent out, we will need to replenish our supply of blood too, because blood is perishable. So if you can't get in, it's also important to schedule an appointment for the weeks out and because the reason why the local blood bank was able to send so many units out so quickly is because we had that blood on the ship already that was donated in the days leading up to the tragedy. So
Well,
a lot of different working parts here.
well, and Maddie, as I think about the blood drives and the amount of people that are wanting to donate blood, typically around a holiday weekend, you hear the blood drives. Do a call to try to beef up supply because that's typically when they're going to need more. So you take what happened yesterday in Uvalde, that tragedy, and then knowing that a holiday weekend is coming up, that puts a lot of pressure on the blood banks and the hospital systems if there is any kind of shortage. So yeah, if you couldn't get an appointment yesterday to go donate or today, or I've seen, a lot of the places look full. You got to schedule a time. Next week you can still donate blood. They're going to need it.
Yes, definitely. So we're also working on stories about, obviously, we San Antonio districts, because of the proximity, 80 miles between here and Uvalde, they responded with some heightened security. Some school districts are banning backpacks. So even if you had previously chosen not to talk to your students about this, a lot of them walked onto campuses that didn't look the same as they did earlier this week. So we're also talking to mental health experts about how to help your child navigate this trauma and process all of it, because it is so close to home. And on top of that, like, I know for myself, getting on Facebook or Twitter, there are just so many people that I know that know somebody that has been affected in Uvalde, and that's, it's, any tragedy is painful, but this one is right next door, and it's a lot to process right now. So we're having a story go up soon about, all these different questions parents might have, and I think that's a lot of what I'm hearing from my friends who are parents or within my family is, how do you talk to the kid about something like this? And it kind of is a case by case basis, whether they're teenagers, they can know a little bit more as opposed to like a pre-kinder student. So we're trying to help everybody through it in every way possible.
Yeah, and another way too that I'm looking at here, Maddie, is it looks like a GoFundMe hub, and I'm looking at it right now, and you see the beautiful faces of some of the children that were lost and that were killed yesterday, and you can actually go in and donate to all of them if you'd like. But if there's one that perhaps you can donate to each individual family. Am I right about that?
Yeah. So what I think is really cool about that story, I'm glad you brought it up, is that with every tragedy, with all the helpers that there are unfortunately a lot of, I guess, like vultures, and, will try to capitalize on people's sensitivity and pain, and will create sometimes fake GoFundMes. And it's really hard to think that I think about 3 mass shootings in Texas since I've been here, working with my SA, and I've seen a lot of the times fake GoFundMes pop up that aren't vetted or weren't even created by the family. So GoFundMe, to kind of cement that, they've launched this hub in response to the tragedy. And this hub holds every trusted campaign. They have vetted them and verified them directly with family to make sure they are legitimate campaigns. So that way people can donate their money with confidence and know that it's going directly to these people. So I think that's really helpful.
It is. And you shine a light on the cockroaches that do try to create something that isn't real, knowing that people will donate because they want to. So I'm not telling anybody don't donate. Just be careful where you're donating to make sure it is legit and vetted, because there are those people out there who seem to always come out of the woodworks over something, and they're not there to help out any families. They're there to help out themselves, based on your emotional state that you want to give to something.
Right. So yeah, so GoFundMe has it. If you search GoFundMe, it should be, the header is how you can help donate to Texas elementary school shooting relief. So if you search any of those keywords, I'm sure it'll pop up. And the main landing page is a green Texas. Looks like it's like kind of colored by a child, and there's a blue heart right over Uvalde. And within that, there are, last night when I first read the story, there were 2, and now it's just really painful to see so many little faces on here.
Oh, it's heartbreaking it's heartbreaking to pull up that page. I just did it, and I got it from your Twitter account at Maddy Skye. So if you're looking for it, you can go to and follow Maddy Skye at Maddy Skye. Please do that. And you just tweeted out something here, and this doesn't surprise me at all. HEB, $500,000.
Right.
It's incredible the generosity of HEB.
500,000, and they're also mobilizing stores in the area, which I'm assuming there's probably some that are close on the outskirts of San Antonio, close, and mobile kitchens. I saw some photos overnight of mobile kitchens there already in Uvalde, and those there to send out resources, food, anything the community may need. So, and they're also, you know how when you check out at HEB, there's whenever there's a hurricane or natural disaster of any sort, there's usually like those little pull tabs for donations that you can add to your check, your bill. They're also offering that for the tragedy as well.
Maddy Skye from the San Antonio Express News. I know it's been an extremely busy day for you, emotional day for you. I know you've got many hours left in your workday today. Appreciate you taking some time with us today. Normally, it's a much livelier conversation, but and we often say here at ESPN, we're in the toy department. We're the escape from reality, but there are times where reality is what it is, and we've got to talk about it. And we appreciate you spending some time with us today doing just that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. I hope next week is a little easier.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks,
Maddy Skye from the San Antonio Express News. And I'll tell you what, the staff down there and at the Express News, watching all the different local channels last night and their coverage, phenomenal job, because that's not easy. It's not easy work. And I know when I got home last night about 7:30, I know KSAT was still on, and that is such a tough assignment, because you're trying to gather information, report. You don't want to go away, but at the same time you kind of rehash, and it's such a challenge, because you might be seeing video for the first time. And I know what was getting me yesterday was realizing, okay, there's a couple days left in school. Earlier in that day at Robb Elementary, they had their awards day.
Yeah.
So you started seeing photos of those 10-year-old kids. And my neighbors got, I think Adler and Eli are either 7 and 9 or 8 and 10. But, I'm looking at those certificates for the honor roll, and yesterday's date was on there. And the smiles of those kids that just got that award, and they're gone.
I can't even imagine the nightmare that those people, the entire community, but especially the parents and the families of the teachers that were murdered as well. And it's just it's heartbreaking. And again, it's hard to say anything. But what I do love, and what gives me hope, Jason, is the fact that people like Maddy Skye and all the great businesses here in San Antonio, HEB, how everybody's coming together to do what we can. We can't. There's no way to calm or make those parents feel better, but the fact that this community is coming together to help a community that's in trouble is just gives me a lot of hope to know that, we all are Texans, and we all care about each other.
Help your neighbor. And the idea that a lot of us want to do more than just vent on social media. There are things you can do that can help. One of them is give blood.
Yeah.
Find these places that are offering to donate their proceeds and go get something to eat. You're going to eat anyway. That to me, there are things that you can do. Again, we're in the toy department. We get that. We like to stay in the toy department.
Yeah.
For a reason. But we're humans. We're fathers. We're
and grandfathers. I mean, and for me personally, the first thing I did when I left here was call my daughter, who lives in Colorado. I said, please hug those babies. And it's just, you think about it. And I hope families last night and today and as we move forward come together, and you just, I think we take each other for granted sometimes, and it takes tragedies to to kind of rein us back in and realize what's important in life.
You know, I guess while you were talking to your daughter in Colorado, I was talking to my daughter in
Yeah.
Phoenix. And so I'm giving you a virtual hug right now.
Yeah.
We started talking about it. And, my daughter graduated from Sam Houston State in 2020. 3 of her friends are first-year teachers.
Oh, wow.
And she was telling me how she's been texting with all 3, talked to her one friend, McKenna, because those first-year teachers, from what my daughter was telling me, at least the 3 that she knows that I know too, um, that's a whole nother level that I don't think a lot of times we think about.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm thinking about 23, 24-year-old teachers that, and her friend McKenna, who works at a school district in Dallas, Farmers Branch to be exact, she teaches 4th grade. And
No,
so
yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
it has hit home in so many ways that, quite frankly, for me, hadn't really given that much thought. I know we talked about it yesterday, man. Credit those teachers for protecting your kids, but what they go through, and you had a teacher there willing to step in front of a gunman to protect your kids.
That's right.
They don't get near enough credit.
They don't get enough credit. They really don't. And the job that they do it's thankless. It really is. And so props to all the teachers out there. Thank you for what you do. We really should say that on a daily basis, but thank you.
We sure, and we'll get back in the toy department as we continue here on the Blitz.